I am running for Boone County Commissioner. For those that don't know, the county commissioner races are county-wide races, but there are 3 commissioners in Boone County for 3 commissioner districts. You have to come from the district, but you're elected and voted on county-wide. I am currently the chairman of the Boone County Republican Party. And I, in my professional life, work in corporate risk management, crisis management, dealing with cyber risks, cyber breach management, physical risks, crisis management for weather-related events, things like that, for a national company with over 800 locations and 120,000 employees around the country. In my past life, I was a fire service officer and medic, and I live down in Walton, Kentucky, on a little farm, 25 acres. I got a wife and 6 kids and a ton of animals out here. 4 generations living here in Boone County around me, and I love farming, but I love Boone County. So I'm getting involved in this to make sure that Boone County is staying on the right track.
So why did you decide to run for county commissioner?
So I look at the trajectory of Boone County. It's less about what we've done, but more about the trajectory that we're on in Boone County. So I think that Boone County, and most people in Boone County can relate, we're very much overdeveloped, especially commercially and industrial type development, very much overdeveloped with no strategic infrastructure plan. So we tend to pack these big multi-family dwellings and tight little neighborhoods into areas without adequate infrastructure to support the increased traffic. And we use the Boone County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Fiscal Court currently use a 2040 or future use land use plan as a Bible of how to, or what's going to be approved in terms of development going on in our county, with no input from the residents. So in theory, the plan itself is being weaponized against residents, whether they're farmers or homeowners. What I like to call the early investors in Boone County are being disadvantaged by the current processes and preferences being given to out-of-state developers, big corporate out-of-state developers that are, impacting the day-to-day lives of every other citizen in Boone County. So I feel like Boone County needs a strategic infrastructure plan. So it's about development. Development is both necessary and acceptable, but it needs to be well planned out, and we need the infrastructure in place prior to bringing in the developers to our county.
Have you heard that there were issues with flooding with all this new infrastructure?
Yeah, that was a very high level comment, but tactically, when you get down at the ground level, there's a myriad of issues related to overdevelopment. It could be flooding in certain areas because we bring in millions and millions of square feet of blacktop and roof space that changes the runoff. Issues related to specifically certain areas in Boone County that are already prone to flooding. That's one issue. Traffic is another. If you look at our little roads that we have down here in Boone County, a lot of them, we don't have shoulders. We don't have third turn lanes in the middle of the road. Half the time you can barely get by with 2 regular sized vehicles, let alone a commercial vehicle. Areas around in Walton and Verona are being absolutely overrun with commercial vehicles and semi trucks and things. And we've had many, many cases of people getting hit and killed, hit and injured, vehicles getting damaged by impacts related to more traffic than the roads were originally designed to handle, because we're bringing in all of this commercial and industrial development or high density neighborhoods back in the back 40 of certain areas of our county where the roads getting to them are not designed to handle it. That impacts us as citizens of Boone County. That impacts grandma going down to get the groceries or go to church on Sunday. That impacts kids that are 16 years old, learn how to drive, getting out on the road for the first time. It's a dangerous situation for Boone County. And again, development is acceptable. Development is necessary. We need to bring development into Boone County, but it needs to be strategic and it needs to be well planned with what our needs are, not just done whatever we need to do to bring in the most corporate, tax dollars that we can. That is an unreasonable target.
So what's your platform and what are your priorities when you get in the office?
Boone County has not a single elected Democrat. Every elected position in Boone County is an elected Republican. What that means is that pretty much all elected officials are going to say the same thing. They're pro-life, they're pro-Second Amendment, et cetera. Really comes down to, can you demonstrate that? So for me, I'm 100% pro-life, pro-family, and pro-liberty, right? So pro-life and pro-family are directly related. You have to be a pro both. I believe all life should be protected from conception to natural death. And I think that all, life and all liberties are guaranteed in the Constitution and they have to be protected. So even at a local level, our ordinances or our taxation or anything that the government does that impacts the average citizen's life should be compared against the liberties guaranteed to them by both our national and our state constitutions, both of which are very good. I'm also fiscally conservative. So I'm opposed to any and all increased taxes without a completely thorough assessment of what our existing budget and our existing tax base looks like to make sure that we eliminate every bit of wasteful spending in our existing programs before we even consider going after additional taxes. Things like the 911 tax that got implemented, that there were many other ways that could have been implemented that would have been much more fair and consistent across the board. Yes, we have to pay for services, but at the same time, it should be fair to the citizens. And in addition to that, we have the new legislation that's being considered at the state level, the local area sales or local area tax options. And that's going to be a problem in our county, given our current leadership. They'd be all for increased taxes in our area. Additionally, and it kind of sounds like it, a lot of people will take it the wrong way when I say that I'm very concerned about development. But I'm all about defending individual property rights. I think everybody should be allowed to own their own piece of property and do with it what they would like to do. Now, if that means they want to develop it, that's fine. However, we have things in our state law and in our local ordinances called zoning laws, and zoning laws are intended to protect the surrounding property owners. So that means that when you decide to buy a piece of property, if you want to buy it, yes, you should be able to do what you want with it within the existing zoning. If I buy a farm next to some neighborhoods, it doesn't give me the right to put a strip club on there just because that's what I want to do. I have to adhere to the existing zoning laws. But like I mentioned before, Planning and Zoning Commission and other, the fiscal court to some degree, basically weaponize zoning laws against private citizens. They hide behind a veil of transparency when it truly isn't transparent. The process is to allow people to have input on the future land use plan, zone changes that are being considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those processes are not transparent at all, and people don't realize that they have the ability to have an input. And when they do provide input, it's not considered. So yes, we need to defend individual property rights and allow people to do what they want with their property within reason and with also respecting the rights of surrounding property owners. It's a long term, and it's not a local issue per se. It's more of a state issue. But I'm against property taxes. I think if you own property, you should own it. right now, if you own a piece of property and you skip out on your tax bill, the county is going to show up. They're going to take your property. They're going to sell it off to pay your tax bill. And then they're going to keep what's left over. Nobody in Kentucky, and especially Boone County, actually owns their property unless they pay that tax bill. So I'm against property taxes. I think we should go to more usage taxes. People should actually be able to own their property. Strategic and responsible county planning. Again, it's not about no development. It's about responsible development along a strategic plan. So our plan should include input from the people of Boone County and not just be whatever special interests have decided to drop on the lap of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Fiscal Court. We have to consider capability versus need. What are we capable of supporting versus what we need? Our current infrastructure just is not able to support what we're attempting to do, especially in some of these areas around like Mount Zion Road, Hathaway, Walton, some areas of Verona, et cetera. And then transparency in government. Transparency is absolutely critical. I think the people desire it more than ever today. And the way the fiscal court currently operates, it's anything but transparent. Even the commissioners don't get in, what they're going to be voting on or considering until just a couple days before a meeting. You're talking about, 10, 12 line items on an agenda that they have to evaluate with hundreds of pages of supporting documentation in advance. It's kind of like the federal government voting on a spending bill after they received it 3 hours, before. Similar things happen even at a local government level. And the people should be not just able to come and listen, we should push some information out to them. If I'm going to consider a zoning change or a development in somebody's area, sending a letter to the people that are immediately adjacent is not sufficient. What about the 200 other property owners down the street that are also impacted? We should be more transparent in the things that are going on in Boone County. And we talked before, but Moody's dropping our bond rating in 2021 was specifically due to lack of available data from Boone County to support a good bond rating. We had it bumped up in 2018 and we lost it in 2021. Because we don't provide clear, transparent information about our county finances.
I think we're also 3 years behind on the constitutional audit of our county. I read that somewhere also.
Yeah, I believe so. Yep, I believe so.
So did you see yourself running as commissioner when you became president or chair of the Boone County Republican Party?
No, and actually, I didn't even want to be chair of the county Republican Party. I'm a typical conservative Republican where I've got, job and farm and business and family, and I was content to just focus on the things that I was responsible for in my life. But as I watched over the last couple of years, our national government fall apart, it seems like, and even at the state level, we have many, many issues. It became apparent to me that the only way we get our country back is if we take our state back. And the only way we get our state back is if we take our county back first. And how do you get involved, in anything related to county government, unless it's through one of two parties, either the Republicans or the Democrats? It's the only way change is going to come about is through one of those parties. And in Boone County, it's the Republican Party that is in control today. So it made sense to me to actively engaged in the Republican Party and make sure that ship is pointed the right direction based on conservative Republican ideologies. And so I helped coordinate with some others, taking over Boone County, but I couldn't get anybody else to step up as chair. And I did it because I have the skill set necessary and I have the time to do it. I think we've done a lot since we've taken over last June. The party's in a completely different position than it used to be. We've got 189 active precinct officers in our county committee versus a 12 or 15 person executive committee that existed before. And the difference too for us is that for me and the other officers of the Boone County Republican Party, we have no intention of being career politicians. We have no intention of being career politicians. We're here to make sure our county is going the right direction for our families, for our kids, for our grandkids. So when it came to the commissioner role, same thing applied. I see an immediate need for change on the fiscal court, and even more than just the immediate need. Let's just say we happen to get through the next 4 years with no change. In 4 years, we lose 3 of our fiscal court members. 2 commissioners are going to leave and 1 judge executive is going to leave. We're going to have basically a completely new fiscal court in 4 years with no continuity, unless we bring somebody new and fresh in today. So just from a continuity standpoint, it's imperative that we bring in somebody new. So I see these things and think, again, I have the time, I have the skill set. It's just imperative that we make the change.
Also, when it comes to the switching hands and the seats that are going to be coming available, I've heard citizens talking about concerns that a lot of these large corporations moving into Boone County are then going to place their people in political seats. That
is a very, very real risk for Boone County. We have so much opportunity in Boone County for honestly, for developers and other big companies to make a lot of money. It makes sense for them to target these local government positions in an election. And we want this county to stay Boone County. Boone County has always been a healthy mix of urban, industrial, commercial, farm, estate, great place to raise a family, great place to retire, great place to work. We need to keep that healthy mix and not turn it into Cincinnati South.
Amen.
I agree. Yep. Do you see your campaign affecting your chair position with the Boone County Republican Party?
No, not at all. There's really no relationship between the two. The campaign is separate from the county commissioner. I'm sorry, the campaign is separate from the chair of the party role. I have no intention of stepping down. I know a couple of people have asked that question. But realistically, it's, both positions are somewhat part-time positions. And the BCRP, Boone County Republican Party, will always support. We'll always support the Republican candidates for any of the positions that we have going on in Boone County. During the primaries, it's a little bit different. The primaries, everybody's a Republican. But you have to remember, we have 189 precinct officers. So I, at the chair of the party, really just fulfill a role of conducting meetings, making sure that the infrastructure for the party is sustainable, making sure that our fundraising and our budgeting is sustainable. It's similar to a CEO of an organization, I guess, but really the voting members are the ones that decide the course of action for the party. And there's 189 voting members. So I have little impact, if you will, on the direction the party goes. I can maybe set some strategic guidelines for them, but even that's done in consultation with the membership. So we were all about representation by the people. And that's the way we like to keep it going forward. As a commissioner, it's no different. I represent, all of Boone County, but specifically District 2 if elected. And there's no reason why I can't do both.
We appreciate you doing both.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually.
One thing to say about that though too is what we're seeing today. I think me running for this position, or me being responsible for the county party, or the fact that we have a county committee, which is not very common in Kentucky, is the result of a common theme across our state and across our country. The people are done with folks, running as like executive committees or running in positions of leadership and excluding the people from us having a say. The people are done with that, and the people really want change today. And I know this because after we got the county committee up and functioning for the Boone County Republican Party, and we started conducting meetings where we're having 150, 180 people present, I started getting phone calls from other county chairs around the state saying, what are you guys doing and how are you doing it? Because that's what we want. So we've almost become a model for many counties on how to operate in that precinct, quote unquote, precinct strategy.
Yeah,
That's
the
good.
level of engagement is enormous now. Those meetings, those Republican Party meetings, maybe had 20 people in them in prior years.
Yeah, maybe. And of those 20 people, not everybody had a say. Today, everybody has a say. And it's my intention too. Like if I get in successfully into the county commissioner role, I've already got some ideas, but it's my intention to make sure that the people of Boone County have a much more transparent idea of what's going on in the fiscal court.
Good. So some of the local incumbent politicians have expressed concern that the new Republican Party leadership are not supporting incumbents. What are your thoughts on that?
In my opinion, Northern Kentucky has always been ripe for, I'm not going to use the word corruption, but I'm going to say they've been ripe for the good old boys just running the show. And it's been that way for a long time. Again, the average conservative Republican doesn't want to care. They want to vote in people that do what they want them to do, that stand for the ideals they stand for, so that they can go back to their families or jobs or farms, their businesses, etc. And so the Good Old Boys Club's been run in Northern Kentucky, Boone County, Kenton County, Campbell County for a long time. And, I talked with Representative Thomas Massey a little while ago and a spokesperson for Rand Paul, and they brought up at the Campbell County Christmas Gala, they brought up a really good point. They said, look, incumbents need to stop thinking about challengers in the primaries as a bad thing. It's actually necessary in order to keep fresh blood in the Republican Party and keep the Republican Party fresh and moving forward. We don't want to become stale and stagnant in our existing condition. So primary challengers are good. It's an opportunity for the existing incumbents to reconnect with the people, make sure that they understand what the people want in their area. And guess what? If they don't represent them, then the people will speak at the ballot box and let them know. But I think what happens today is incumbents feel entitled to their positions, and they feel that when a challenger comes up in the primary, that it's a direct attack on them as a person. And that's not the case. Even party support for primary challengers, like the Boone County Republican Party, we were very open in the beginning, before the filing deadlines. We encouraged everyone who wants to run in the primary. It's a good thing. The more options we have in the primary, the more alive and fresh we're going to keep the party in our county. So I think that it's not about not supporting the incumbents, which I think was one of the concerns this individual had. It's that we are supportive of an active and engaged primary. Even our state party chairman, Mac Brown, said in an email recently, sent out an email to all the party leadership about, party unity and things like that, and said, look, it's really, the party exists to elect and maintain conservative Republican leadership. The word conservative is important because it's part of the Republican Party platform to be conservative. And the problem is a lot of Republicans get into office and start behaving as if they are not conservative, whether that's through legislation, their voting, things like that. If that is the case, it's not that the party doesn't support them anymore. It's that they no longer represent the party. Just because there's an R in front of their name doesn't mean that they are going to act like a Republican. So it's actually more important that they recognize that they're no longer aligned with the party and that they, realign.
Do you think Democrats are putting an R next to their name?
That's not even just a thought. That's a document. We have documented evidence of that in Boone County and other counties. People realize that the general movement in Northern Kentucky is towards a conservative Republican party. And if they're not a conservative Republican, you're not going to get elected. So they have to change their registration just to get elected.
Gary Moore. Just want to say it.
Hey, look, I will never speak ill of somebody that decides to convert. If they have finally come to the light and they've realized it's time to change, more power to them. But if it's for ulterior motives, then we have a problem.
Mayday. We have a problem. Is there anything else that you want to throw in about how people can support you?
Yep. If they're looking for some new direction in Boone County, and especially in the fiscal court, they can go to my website, chetforboone.com, chetforboone.com. They can also find me on Facebook. I have a campaign Facebook page. I think it is Chet Hand for County Commissioner. I think they could look me up there. We can get donations on my website. Obviously, we're always looking for donations and volunteers. We have a really, really young and energetic volunteer base right now. It's really exciting to see. We've got a lot of folks out there knocking doors even today. And it's great to see. One of the best feedback items I've been getting from voters is they love seeing the husband-wife combo with a couple kids show up knocking on their door. Lots of high schoolers out there knocking on doors. It really draws a stark contrast between my opponent and my campaign. We're talking about forward, future thinking campaign versus somebody that's been on the fiscal court for 20 years, hasn't really done anything for Boone County except raise our taxes and overdevelop us. So we got to get away from these yes men on the fiscal court. We got to start looking at critically analyzing what Boone County's doing and why are we doing it and how does it impact, the citizens of Boone County.
So do you have like a meet and greet anytime soon?
I do. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. So April 4th, we're going to be meeting at Zozo's Tavern in Burlington. I think the address is 5991 North Jefferson Street. Uh, 5:30 to 7:30, we're going to have a meet and greet for me. Obviously, it's a fundraiser. And we'll have a couple other candidates that are running in the primaries, I think, that'll be there to speak as well. It's a good opportunity just to meet everybody that's getting involved.
Great.
And they can also reach out to me. My contact information is on my website and Facebook page. They can reach out to me anytime.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. And I think that you handle the Republican Party meetings. You're amazing. I think I've told you I wish you were running for sheriff, but we'll take whatever we can get.
Yep. We gotta do what we can do. And this is something I can do. So.
Well, it's appreciated. Thank you, Chet.
Yep, no problem.